The night is a different time. When the sun goes down, the world changes. The familiar places of the day become strange and new, shadows grow long and dark, every little sound seems louder than it should. It is a time for quiet, a time for sleep. But sometimes things happen in the night that are not quiet at all. They are strange and frightening things that have no easy explanation. These are stories about those moments. Stories people say are true. Tales from the deep dark hours when most of the world is asleep. Some things are just waking up. The line between what is real and what is not becomes thin. It was a cold, rainy night on a long, empty highway. A young woman named Sarah was driving home from her parents' house. The road was dark with no streetlights for miles. Tall trees stood on both sides, branches like black fingers against the gray sky. The only light came from her car's headlights cutting through the heavy rain. The windshield wipers beat, hypnotic and lonely. Suddenly her headlights caught something up ahead. It was a man, standing on the side of the road. He stood in the pouring rain, not moving, old-fashioned suit, dark and wet, no umbrella, not asking for a ride, just there. Sarah slowed, drove past and saw his face, pale, emotionless. His eyes were dark and empty, staring straight ahead like a statue. Minutes later she checked the mirror and her heart nearly stopped. The man stood in the middle of the road right behind her car, lit by her taillights. He hadn't been there a second ago. His head turned to look directly at her. She stomped the gas and never looked back, but she could still feel his empty eyes on her. Late one night, a college student named Leo was studying in his third-floor dorm. Outside, a gentle snow fell over a quiet campus. He felt safe and warm inside, far above the cold ground. He was deep in his reading when he heard it, a soft sound. Tap, tap, tap. It could not be. He was on the third floor, probably just a branch, he told himself. The sound came again, louder. Tap, 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 clear, deliberate. It sounded exactly like someone knocking. Leo stood up, heart pounding, and pulled the curtain a tiny bit. At first, only darkness and falling snow. He exhaled. Then, movement. A pale face appeared in the glass, eyes wide and black, mouth open in a silent scream, fingers pressed and tapping again and again. Tap, tap, tap. Leo screamed, stumbled, and ran to the bright hallway. He never went back into that room alone again. Some things don't need a ladder to reach you, especially when they want to get in. A young couple, Mark and Susan, had just put their baby girl, Lily, to bed in their quiet country home. Downstairs they watched a movie with a baby monitor beside them. Only the TV and the soft crackle of the monitor broke the silence. About an hour in, a strange sound came from the monitor, not a cry, a voice, low, raspy, humming a lullaby they'd never heard.
Mark turned down the TV. The humming was slow, eerie. Susan went pale. "Mark, who is that?"
He tried to reassure her. "It's just static or some other signal." Then the humming stopped and a voice spoke.
It was a woman's voice, old and cracked. It whispered, "I'm watching you, little one."
Cold dread. Someone was in their daughter's bedroom. Mark grabbed the fireplace poker and rushed upstairs. Susan followed, hand over mouth. He threw open the door. The room was empty, window locked, no one there. Lily slept peacefully, no sign anyone had been inside. They took Lily into their room that night. They never found out who the voice belonged to. You are not always the only one listening to your baby sleep. In a quiet suburb, a small park sat behind a row of houses. Chloe's bedroom window looked directly onto it. Each night she watched the empty playground, the swings perfectly still. It was comforting. Around 2 a.m., she woke without knowing why. The room was quiet, but something felt wrong. She looked out. Everything seemed normal, until she saw it. One swing was moving, back and forth, no one was there. There was no wind. The other swing was still, only this one arced higher and higher like an invisible child pumping their legs. She heard the faint creak, creak, creak of the chains, lonely and haunting in the dead of night. She watched for what felt like an hour. It never slowed. Finally, she forced herself to close the curtains and get back into bed. She couldn't sleep. The faint creaking would not stop. She knew, with a bone-deep certainty, she wasn't watching an empty swing. She was watching someone she could not see. Even when a playground is empty, it doesn't always mean no one is there to play. A family drove home late after visiting relatives, Tom at the wheel, his wife and 2 children asleep. Dark country road, endless cornfields on both sides, so tall they formed a wall. Only the headlights carved a tunnel ahead. His headlights caught a shape, a scarecrow. Odd, it wasn't on a post, it stood on its own at the edge of the field, as if it had walked out. Tom shrugged and drove on. A feeling made him check the rear view. The scarecrow was gone. He blinked, then glanced at the side mirror. His blood ran cold. The scarecrow was running alongside the car, floppy legs, unnatural gait, keeping pace. Burlap head turned toward them, no face, yet watching. Tom slammed the accelerator. The car shot forward. For a breathless moment the scarecrow stayed a blur beside them, then it vanished. His wife woke with the jolt. "What is it? What's wrong?" He could only point, nothing there. He never saw it again, and he never drove that road at night again. Some things meant to scare the crows end up scaring people instead. A little boy named Sam was afraid of the dark. Every night his father tucked him in and checked for monsters.
His father would smile, kneel, and look under the bed. "See? All clear. Nothing here but dust bunnies." Then Sam slept.
One night, extra tired, Sam still whispered, "Dad, you forgot. You have to check for monsters under the bed." His father chuckled. "Oh, you're right."
In the dim room he lifted the bedspread and put his head down to look, then froze.
Under the bed, huddled and trembling, was his son, Sam. Wide, terrified eyes. A whisper, "Dad, there's someone else in my bed."
The father lifted his head. The lump under the covers, the one he had tucked in, was not Sam. It was something else. Something pretending to be his son. He did not scream. He did not move. He just stared, mind refusing the horror. Always check under the bed, but you should also check who is in it. The sun rises every morning. The light comes back. The world feels normal again. The man on the road is gone. The knocking at the window has stopped. The baby monitor is silent. But the stories remain. They play over and over in our minds, especially when we are alone in the dark. More than tales. They remind us how little we know and how thin the veil is. They are whispers from the shadows. The fear of being watched. The fear of the unexplainable. The fear of something in our safe spaces. We imagine ourselves there. We feel the cold dread and pounding heart. We double-check doors and windows and listen closer at night. Around fires and sleepovers, we pass the fear along, almost as a warning. Be careful, pay attention. The world isn't always what it seems after the sun goes down. These tales will be told as long as there is darkness, and as long as we are human. The night remembers everything that happens in its shadows, and sometimes it lets us see a glimpse.